As Sarah stepped off the plane in Cairo, she could feel the warmth of the sun on her skin and hear the sounds of the bustling city. She was excited to start her research on the Serapeum at Saqqara, the tomb of the sacred Apis bulls. She had always been fascinated by ancient Egyptian history and culture, and she was determined to uncover the mysteries of this enigmatic place. She met her guide, Ahmed, at the airport, and he drove her through the busy streets of Cairo and out into the desert. As they approached Saqqara, Sarah was struck by the beauty of the avenue of sphinxes that led to the Serapeum. The massive statues seemed to guard the way, their faces staring out into the distance. As they entered the tomb, Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. The long corridors were dimly lit, and the air was thick with the smell of decay. She could see the outlines of massive stone sarcophagi lining the walls, and she knew that they contained the mummified remains of the bulls. As they walked deeper into the tomb, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She turned to Ahmed, but he seemed unfazed, his eyes scanning the walls for hieroglyphics. "Are there any legends or stories about this place?" Sarah asked, hoping to break the tension. Ahmed nodded. "Many say that the bulls were considered sacred because they were associated with the god Ptah, whose cult center was in Memphis. The Egyptians believed that the Apis bulls were the embodiment of Ptah on earth, and that they had the power to bestow blessings or curses." Sarah shuddered. "Curses? What kind of curses?" Ahmed shrugged. "No one knows for sure. But there have been many rumors over the years. Some say that the spirits of the bulls still haunt this place, seeking revenge on those who disturbed their eternal rest." As they continued down the corridor, Sarah thought she heard something moving in the shadows. She turned, but there was nothing there. She dismissed it as her imagination, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone in the tomb. Finally, they reached the end of the corridor, and Sarah saw the massive stone door that led to the chamber where the bulls were kept. The door was sealed shut, and Sarah could see the outlines of hieroglyphics etched into the stone. "This is it," Ahmed said, his voice echoing in the quiet tomb. "The chamber of the sacred bulls." Sarah felt a thrill of excitement mixed with fear. She knew that this was just the beginning of her journey into the heart of darkness. As she looked at the door, she could almost hear the spirits of the bulls whispering to her, warning her to turn back. But Sarah was determined to uncover the secrets of the Serapeum. She knew that the path ahead would be dangerous, but she was ready to face whatever lay ahead. As she took a deep breath and stepped forward, she knew that she was about to embark on a journey that would change her life forever. Sarah and Ahmed stood before the sealed stone door, the only barrier between them and the chamber of the sacred bulls. The hieroglyphics etched into the stone seemed to glimmer in the dim light, as if they were warning the trespassers to turn back. "Are you ready?" Ahmed asked, his voice low. Sarah hesitated for a moment, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that whatever lay beyond that door would test her courage and her sanity, but she was determined to see it through. "I'm ready," she replied, her voice steady. Ahmed nodded and approached the door, pulling out a set of keys from his pocket. He inserted one of the keys into the lock and turned it, the sound echoing through the silent tomb. As the door slowly creaked open, Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. The chamber was dark, but she could see the outlines of massive stone sarcophagi lining the walls. Each one was etched with intricate hieroglyphics and adorned with precious jewels. The air was thick with the smell of decay and dust, and Sarah could feel the weight of history pressing down on her. She could almost hear the whispers of the ancient Egyptians, warning her to turn back before it was too late. As they stepped into the chamber, Sarah noticed something odd about the sarcophagi. They seemed to be arranged in a specific pattern, as if they were forming a path. Sarah felt a sense of unease as she realized that the path led deeper into the chamber, to a massive stone altar at the center. "Be careful," Ahmed warned, noticing Sarah's hesitation. "We don't know what we might find here." Sarah nodded, her eyes scanning the shadows for any sign of movement. She knew that they were not alone in the chamber, but she couldn't see anything in the darkness. As they made their way down the path of sarcophagi, Sarah began to feel a sense of dread. She could hear something moving in the shadows, a faint rustling sound that seemed to be coming from all around them. Suddenly, a figure stepped out from behind one of the sarcophagi. Sarah gasped as she saw the ghostly apparition of a bull, its eyes glowing in the darkness. Ahmed drew his sword, ready to defend them from whatever evil might be lurking in the shadows. But as the bull approached, it seemed to dissolve into the air, leaving behind only the faint scent of sandalwood and myrrh. Sarah was shaking, but she forced herself to continue down the path. As they approached the altar, she could feel a sense of power emanating from the massive stone structure. She could see that it was covered in intricate carvings, depicting scenes of ancient Egyptian gods and goddesses. Suddenly, the shadows seemed to come alive. Figures stepped out from behind the sarcophagi, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Sarah could see that they were the spirits of the sacred bulls, their ghostly forms shimmering in the dim light. As the spirits began to move towards them, Sarah could feel her heart pounding in her chest. She didn't know what they wanted, but she knew that they were not there to offer blessings. She drew her gun, ready to defend herself if necessary. But as the spirits approached, they simply vanished into the air, leaving behind only the faint scent of incense. Sarah and Ahmed stood in the chamber, their hearts racing. They knew that they had uncovered something ancient and powerful, something that would change their understanding of the world forever. As they made their way back to the entrance, Sarah couldn't help but wonder what other secrets lay hidden in the shadows of the Serapeum. As Sarah and Ahmed made their way back to their campsite, their minds were racing with thoughts of what they had just witnessed in the Serapeum. They couldn't help but wonder about the true nature of the sacred bulls and the power that seemed to emanate from the ancient tomb. As they approached their tent, they noticed that something was amiss. The tent flap was open, and their belongings were scattered haphazardly around the campsite. "Someone's been here," Ahmed said, his hand instinctively going to his sword. Sarah drew her gun, ready to defend themselves from whatever danger might be lurking in the shadows. But as they entered the tent, they saw that the intruder was not human. The room was filled with the same sandalwood and myrrh scent that they had encountered in the Serapeum. And in the corner of the tent, they saw the ghostly apparition of a bull, its eyes glowing in the darkness. Sarah aimed her gun at the spirit, ready to fire if necessary. But as the bull approached, it simply dissolved into the air, leaving behind only the faint scent of incense. "Whatever is happening here, it's not natural," Sarah said, her voice low. Ahmed nodded in agreement. They knew that they were dealing with forces beyond their understanding, and they had to be careful if they wanted to survive. As they searched the campsite for clues, they noticed that their maps and notes had been tampered with. Someone had been looking for information about the Serapeum and its secrets. "We need to be careful," Ahmed said, his voice tense. "Someone else is looking for what we found." Sarah nodded, her eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of movement. They knew that they were being watched, but they couldn't see who or what was observing them. As they settled into their tent for the night, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. She knew that they were not alone in the desert, and she knew that their discovery in the Serapeum had attracted the attention of dangerous forces. As she drifted off to sleep, she had vivid nightmares of the ancient bulls and the spirits that seemed to haunt them. She could hear their whispers in her ear, urging her to turn back before it was too late. The next morning, they set out towards the next ancient site on their itinerary, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being followed. She could feel eyes on them, watching their every move. As they made their way through the desert, Sarah noticed that the landscape seemed to shift and change around them. The sand dunes seemed to take on strange shapes, as if they were alive and moving on their own. Suddenly, the ground beneath their feet gave way, and Sarah and Ahmed found themselves falling into a dark pit. As they tumbled down, Sarah could hear the faint whispers of the sacred bulls and the spirits that seemed to be haunting them. When they finally landed at the bottom of the pit, they found themselves in a strange, underground chamber. The walls were adorned with intricate hieroglyphics, and the air was thick with the same sandalwood and myrrh scent that they had encountered before. As they made their way deeper into the chamber, they realized that they were not alone. Something was moving in the shadows, something that they could not see. Sarah drew her gun, ready to defend herself and Ahmed from whatever danger might be lurking in the darkness. But as the figure stepped into the light, she realized that it was not a danger, but a messenger. The figure was dressed in the robes of an ancient Egyptian priest, and he held a staff adorned with precious jewels. His eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. As Sarah and Ahmed cautiously approached the ancient Egyptian priest, the figure spoke in a voice that seemed to echo through the chamber. "Greetings, travelers. I am Anubis, guardian of the dead." Sarah and Ahmed exchanged a look of disbelief. They had heard tales of the Egyptian gods and their supposed ability to communicate with the living, but they had never expected to encounter one themselves. Anubis continued to speak, his voice low and commanding. "You have trespassed into the sacred space of the Apis bulls. You have disturbed their rest and brought danger upon yourselves." Sarah stepped forward, her gun still drawn. "We didn't mean any harm. We were simply trying to uncover the secrets of this ancient tomb." Anubis regarded her with a stern expression. "The secrets of the Serapeum are not meant for mortal ears. But you have shown bravery and resourcefulness in your journey here, and I believe that you may be the key to preventing a great evil from being unleashed upon the world." Sarah and Ahmed exchanged a skeptical look. They had not come to Egypt seeking adventure or heroism, and they had no desire to become embroiled in some ancient battle between gods and monsters. But as Anubis began to reveal the true nature of the Apis bulls and the power that they held, they realized that they had stumbled upon something far greater than they had ever imagined. The Apis bulls, Anubis explained, were not simply sacred animals associated with the god Ptah. They were vessels for a powerful force known as the primeval bull, a being that had the power to shape reality itself. For centuries, the priests of Memphis had kept the primeval bull confined within the Serapeum, using their magic to keep it under control and prevent it from wreaking havoc upon the world. But now, something had gone wrong. The magic that had kept the primeval bull imprisoned was failing, and the ancient god was beginning to stir. "We need your help," Anubis said, his eyes burning with urgency. "You must help us reseal the tomb and prevent the primeval bull from being unleashed upon the world. If you do not, the consequences will be catastrophic." Sarah and Ahmed knew that they had no choice but to agree. They had come to Egypt seeking knowledge and adventure, but now they found themselves in the midst of an ancient conflict between powerful forces. As they made their way back through the desert towards the Serapeum, they knew that they were in for the fight of their lives. But they also knew that they could not back down. The fate of the world was at stake, and they were the only ones who could stop the ancient evil from being unleashed. When they finally arrived at the Serapeum, they found that the tomb was guarded by a host of supernatural creatures. Shadows danced on the walls, and the air was thick with the scent of sandalwood and myrrh. Sarah and Ahmed drew their weapons, ready to do battle with whatever lay ahead. They knew that they were outnumbered and outmatched, but they also knew that they could not give up. As they entered the tomb, they could feel the power of the primeval bull building all around them. The air was thick with magic, and they could hear the faint whispers of ancient gods and spirits. But they also knew that they had a mission to complete. They had to find a way to reseal the tomb and prevent the primeval bull from being unleashed upon the world. With their hearts pounding in their chests, they plunged deeper into the darkness, ready to face whatever dangers lay ahead. They knew that the fate of the world rested on their shoulders, and they were determined to do whatever it took to save humanity from the ancient. As Sarah and Ahmed ventured deeper into the Serapeum, they encountered a series of traps and obstacles that seemed designed to keep intruders out. The walls were lined with intricate hieroglyphics, and the air was thick with the scent of ancient magic. At one point, they found themselves standing before a massive stone door that seemed impenetrable. Sarah tried to blast it open with her gun, but the door remained stubbornly sealed. As they searched for a way to bypass the door, they heard a faint humming sound coming from deep within the tomb. Ahmed's eyes widened in recognition. "That's the sound of the primeval bull," he said. "We must be getting close." They redoubled their efforts, searching for a way to open the door and confront the ancient god. As they worked, they talked about the strange events that had brought them to this place. Sarah shared the story of her grandfather, who had been a renowned archaeologist before he disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Ahmed told her about his own fascination with the ancient legends and myths of his homeland. As they talked, they began to realize that they had more in common than they had thought. They were both driven by a deep curiosity and a desire to uncover the mysteries of the past. At last, they discovered a hidden lever that triggered the opening of the stone door. They stepped inside and found themselves face to face with a massive chamber, its walls lined with gold and jewels. In the center of the room stood a colossal statue of the Apis bull, its eyes blazing with an otherworldly fire. And at its feet lay the primeval bull, its massive form writhing with a raw, primal energy. Sarah and Ahmed stood transfixed, awed by the power and majesty of the ancient creature. But they knew that they could not simply stand by and watch as the primeval bull was unleashed upon the world. They drew their weapons and prepared to do battle with the forces of darkness. As they fought, they were joined by the ancient Egyptian gods, who had come to lend their aid in the battle against the primeval bull. Horus, god of the sky, unleashed bolts of lightning upon the ancient creature. Set, god of chaos, brought down pillars of fire from the heavens. And Anubis, guardian of the dead, struck at the creature's heart with a fierce determination. Sarah and Ahmed fought side by side with the gods, their weapons flashing in the dim light of the chamber. They knew that they were fighting for something far greater than themselves. At last, after what seemed like an eternity, they emerged victorious. The primeval bull lay defeated at their feet, its power drained and its magic spent. As they stepped out of the Serapeum into the bright Egyptian sunlight, they knew that they had accomplished something truly great. They had saved the world from an ancient evil, and they had done it together. Sarah and Ahmed exchanged a smile, knowing that they would always carry with them the memories of their incredible adventure in the land of the pharaohs. They had uncovered the secrets of the Serapeum and emerged stronger and wiser for it. After their adventure in the Serapeum, Sarah and Ahmed spent several more weeks exploring the wonders of Egypt. They visited the pyramids of Giza, the temples of Luxor and Karnak, and the Valley of the Kings. As they traveled, they talked about their experiences in the Serapeum and what they had learned about themselves and the world around them. Sarah found herself increasingly drawn to the mysticism and magic of ancient Egypt. She had always been a skeptic, but her encounter with the primeval bull had opened her eyes to the power of the unseen forces that govern the universe. Ahmed, for his part, was thrilled to have found a kindred spirit in Sarah. He had always felt a deep connection to the myths and legends of his homeland, but he had rarely found anyone who shared his passion. Together, they delved deeper into the mysteries of ancient Egypt, studying the hieroglyphics and artifacts that they encountered on their travels. They visited museums and libraries, searching for answers to the questions that had been raised by their adventure in the Serapeum. As they worked, they began to piece together a larger narrative about the ancient gods and the forces that had shaped the world. They learned about the cycles of creation and destruction that govern the universe, and about the constant struggle between order and chaos. They also learned about the dark forces that lurk just beneath the surface of reality, waiting to be unleashed by those who sought power and control. One night, as they sat beneath the stars in the Egyptian desert, Ahmed shared a story with Sarah. It was a story about a powerful sorcerer who had lived in ancient Egypt, and who had sought to harness the power of the gods for his own purposes. The sorcerer had delved deep into the secrets of the Serapeum, seeking to unleash the primeval bull and use its power to rule the world. But in the end, he had been defeated by a group of brave warriors who had laid down their lives to stop him. As Ahmed finished his story, Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. She realized that the story was not just a fable or a myth, but a warning about the dangers of unchecked power and ambition. Together, Sarah and Ahmed vowed to use their knowledge and skills to protect the world from those who would seek to use ancient magic for their own purposes. They knew that they had much to learn, but they were eager to take on the challenge. As they continued their journey through Egypt, they encountered other adventurers and scholars who shared their passion for the mysteries of the past. They formed alliances and friendships, building a network of like-minded individuals who were dedicated to preserving the secrets of the ancient world. And as they looked out over the endless sands of the Egyptian desert, they knew that they had found a new purpose in life. They had discovered the power of knowledge and the importance of working together to confront the challenges that lay ahead. For Sarah and Ahmed, the adventure had only just begun,